Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast and the show. It's the one show that you need in your life on a regular basis. Now, if you're not listening to the show, it's impossible because you're listening to it right now. But if you know a friend or if you know a business partner or somebody that could really use this information, interviews from top-notch real estate investors and service individuals, men and women out there that are providing some excellent coverage in this space. They have some really good insights and not only market knowledge, but also the tools, tips, and resources that you need to succeed as a real estate investor. Have him or her, your bestie, download the show. It's super, super important. I mean, we're talking about real issues, real challenges that investors have for the residential, commercial, multifamily space, and all provided in awesome, riveting video format. So you can see like the zit that I've got like here somewhere, kind of in extreme clarity. All right, this show is going to be a lot of fun, but before we get to it, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors today, Real Property Management. This podcast is brought to you by Real Property Management, which is the largest residential property management franchise in North America, managing tens of thousands of properties for individuals, investors, and institutions throughout the country. You can learn more by visiting www.realpropertymgt.com or by calling 888-806-7088. With me today is Stacy Brown, who's the National Training Specialist and Operations Manager for Real Property Management. We're going to talk about some of the key strategies for Real Property Management along with a couple questions that I have for Stacy. And the biggest challenge that I have as a new investor, that I see new investors have, and even when I had the challenges that I had as a new investor back in the day, I'm going to be very clear about this, was how does property management even work? You know, like, do I have to call and deal with toilets at 2 a.m., which is a lame excuse for not investing in rentals. And so some of these myths I want to debunk as well. After our 15 to 16 minute interview with Stacy, we'll talk about opportunity zones and how the 2020 census could expand some of these opportunity zone tracks. So about a minute and a half on that. So buckle up, strap in. It's going to be an awesome show, starting with Stacy Brown. Welcome to the show. Stacy, how are you?
Good morning, Abby. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well. So you're the National Training Manager, and you also have an affinity for all things operations. So you and I are kindred spirits. I love operations. It's like kind of my world. So give us a little background. Who are you, and what does Real Property Management do?
So I've been in the industry for over 30 years. I've managed in over 11 states. Here at Real Property Management, I am responsible for training our new franchises in all things property management to get them started and moving forward on a customer service based path. So just basically all things training. That's me.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And what's funny is, like, when we look at building businesses and when we look at, even as investors, building the right scalability into our system, we need the training. We need the help every now and then, because I guarantee you there are investors out there and they're mom pop shops and even institutional people that are just like, well, geez, how do I even get the right training? What do I do? How do I empower my employees? So we need more people like you. This is essentially my long-winded idea and concept here. So that being said, Real Property Management has a couple of key strategies on how you're really leading the charge nationally. And you're not just in one or two different markets, you're everywhere across the United States. What are some of these strategies that you're using, not only to stay at the forefront of the space, but also to really like hone in and help out people, help out investors like me that want to expand the portfolio?
So yeah, I mean, absolutely, you're right. We have 215 franchises in over 320 markets, and that's across the United States and Canada. So at Real Property Management, we prioritize using technology that will help to fuel the success of our franchises and move us forward. I mean, for example, we have a proprietary system called the Wealth Optimizer that will help our investors to predict their expenses and better understand their ROI. You know, it really kind of hones in. I've got a portfolio of properties, does it make sense for me to sell these properties, to upgrade these properties? Do I sell and reinvest? And it really helps our franchises to help those investors with what they want to do with their portfolios moving forward.
That's totally fair. I mean, and that's a challenge that I'll even have too. It's like, all right, well, how do I've got like X number of properties, and some of them are doing pretty well. Some of them I need to kind of figure it out, right? Like I don't really know sometimes. So that's a really cool feature, and just a cool tool and a good resource. Because ultimately, as an investor, I want to build a team, right? I don't necessarily want to do everything by myself, because I think I would, like, I don't know, I would age way too fast if I did this, and then plastic surgery is just not good for me. Don't laugh. See, I know you're already thinking, well, geez, you used to have a face for radio, now you have a face for TV. Like, thanks. This is great. So the property management space, though, Stacy, it's really large and it's really vast, and there are a lot of competitors nationwide, and you have to compete every single day to get clients. What makes you a cut above the rest?
Well, I mean, number one, we've got a superior corporate support team here. We support our franchisees through marketing, sales, operations, accounting support,
Yeah.
plus the fact that we're able to leverage our different franchisees to get best practices and to, garner all of the information that, to use your own words, a mom and pop may not have the access to. So just an informational, and forward thinking powerhouse.
That's really neat. And from an overall perspective, I appreciate that real property management also really pays attention to supporting its communities. And you don't see a lot of property managers do that necessarily. I mean, because they're so committed and so focused to the investors, sometimes the communities will just kind of go by the wayside. How do y'all make a commitment not only to the investors and the tenants, but also the communities in which they live?
Well, as you know, each of our franchises are independently owned and operated. So these are very entrepreneurial spirits that are part of our team here. And giving them the opportunity to make a difference in their communities, has just been really kind of a heartfelt thing for us. Helping them to help maximize the ROA for their investment owners. And then also going out and doing outreach within the communities, whether it be education or sponsorship or just, getting people to understand this industry has just been phenomenal with our brand.
So how do you ultimately have fun in this process, right? Like you're an operations manager. Property management can seem a little daunting at times. Running a property management business, you got hundreds of franchises across the United States. You're deployed in hundreds of cities. Why do you get up in the morning, and why do you do what you do?
Well, we are part of the Neighborly Brands, and we live by our code of values through that, respect, integrity, customer focus, but also, yes, having fun in the process. Property management to me is my passion. It is an ever evolving, ever changing, and there's always something new. And I think that the entrepreneurs that own real property management franchises feel the same way. It's really, truly that spirit of serving others.
That's totally fair. I mean, it's interesting that once you figure out what your why really is, everything else just seems to transform around it. And I love that that's exactly what you love to do, right? You wake up doing this, you breathe this, you eat this, you sleep this. This is your world. You know this better than anybody else. Over the next 3, 4, 5 years, what does the future of RPM look like? Is it fair to say RPM?
Sure,
Okay, cool.
You bet. So obviously, we want to strive to continue to deliver that world-class service. One thing that RPM has not forgotten is that although there is a lot of technology out there, at the heart of it all, we offer ourselves, our service to our clients. Obviously, we want to continue with the asset optimization and the creation of wealth for our investors, and continue to help with the prosperity and success of our offices across North America.
There seems to be a lot of concern over this potential downturn in the market, and I've been hearing it. Everybody's been hearing it. And I think part of it is the media just saying that it's been too long since we've had a downturn, so let's go ahead and manifest the downturn. is this, what do you think is happening? Where do you think we're headed over the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? If there's one thing that I've realized about myself and the people that I interview, A, are significantly smarter and better looking than me. And more importantly, y'all somehow have a crystal ball, and I always end up with a snow globe. So like, as much as I want to shake it and like figure out what the future is, it's just like, the snow just falls and then nothing else happens. Whereas, y'all seem to know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, and where it's going to happen. And, y'all make all the money, and I'm just trying to ask for a handout. So, where does the market? Where do you think the market's going to be in the next 12 to 18 months? And how do I, as an investor that's just buying single-family rentals, prepare for that?
Well, first off, number one, you have to believe that there's a downturn coming, which, when you look back at the last one in 2008, there were a lot of factors that went into that downturn. We had mortgage bonds, and we had standards that were all kablooey that kind of caused that to happen.
Yeah.
And I understand kind of the uncertainty that goes with that, but today, even with the global trade wars and everything that's going on, real estate is still the most sound long-term investment that's out there, and its supply and demand is so driving this that it's really never a bad idea to continue to invest in real estate. And I say that from the heart, being the person that would help to manage that property for you and get you the best ROI.
There is no better asset class to invest in than real estate. Like it just doesn't make any sense. There's no more of it being made. Unless you're Lex Luthor, right? And you can like create islands out of nowhere. But even then, it's not like those islands like looked it's not appealing to live there, right? Like that's the entire point is to kill Superman. But why would you do that? Anyway, I'm off track. There's a housing shortage, obviously, and there are a lot of folks that are concerned about, well, geez, maybe that's going to contribute to this entire like economic slowdown, et cetera. What does that mean for property investors? Does that mean there's opportunity for property investors to buy single-family rentals and rent them out to folks that can't buy single-family homes for themselves, essentially renting the American dream? Or should we as investors be very scared that there's a shortage and do nothing about it?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of different factors that go into the word shortage. Right. And I think really where investors need to understand is that really the shortage boils down to more of an affordable housing type question. When you think about it, Generation Z and millennials, they're renting longer than say their parents or their grandparents. It's taking longer for them to qualify, or they're not making enough money to be able to get the loans to purchase the property. So as an investor, this is a perfect time for you. There's more and more people that want to stay renting longer for a bevy of reasons. So yeah, it's a great time for you to go out. And with the shortage of houses, also that's going to affect rental rates.
So from a Gen Z perspective, I'm just kind of thinking here. Gen Zs, millennials, why are they interested in renting more than owning?
Well, again, usually their median income outweighs the cost of the home.
Okay.
They're not as tied down as previous generations are. They're not thinking I'm going to live in, Salt Lake City. I was born here. I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
They don't even really stay with the same job. The gold watch era is over. So they're looking to make sure that they're fluid.
Yeah.
And that includes renting.
The gold watch era, is that what you said?
Retirement, you get your gold watch, yeah.
I've never heard of it called, I've never heard it called that before. Can I steal that? Is that okay? Can I borrow that?
You bet. You bet.
The gold watch era. I like that. Very interesting. So, real property management, of course, you're in hundreds of different markets across the United States. You have many, many franchises. Out of all of that data, are there any markets that you feel are better than others? And maybe there's a personal bias. I don't know, right? Like I'm from Michigan. I like Kalamazoo. I like Grand Rapids, and I like Detroit. And you're in Salt Lake. So, yeah, Park City, for example. Is there any data that you found that's indicating where a hot market is compared to, say, another market where you're like, well, I really wouldn't invest there, even though we have property managers there? Do you guys have like favorites?
No, we really don't. In fact, it's funny because I hear this a lot. Again, I talk to people clear across all of North America, and I can have someone in an itty bitty town in North Dakota doing just as well as a guy out in Orlando, Florida. So
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to doing your homework and
Yeah.
making sure that the investment makes sense for you and partnering with someone who can ensure that you're making the sound decisions that you're going to continue to get that return on your investment.
So let's say I'm working on building a portfolio, or I may have a portfolio already. How do I get real property management into my life? Like, I'm hearing this, it makes sense. There's credibility, there's authority, you have structure, you have the training, you get the ops, you have everything that I need in my life. How do I engage with you? What's the first step?
Well, the first step is to go to our website, that www.realpropertymgt.com, and look for your local office and just give them a call or send in a request, and they'll give you a call to have a sit down and talk to you about what makes sense for you and where you may want to invest.
That is pretty cool. Realpropertymgt.com. And for me, as somebody that is constantly building my rental portfolio, like, I know I need the support. And real estate investors, sometimes we feel like we're alone, right? Like, let's face it. Sometimes they're family members that don't get it. Our peers don't get it. We might be working full time, trying to create a different type of lifestyle for ourselves, and our coworkers don't get it. And so we need to be thinking about who's going to be on our team. And if you're new, really take heed of this, right? You need the right type of people on your team. And that's going to be a title company, real estate attorney, obviously contractors. But if you want to sustain that growth, and if you want to sustain that portfolio over time, where the rubber really meets the road is a property manager that understands the way that you think as an investor. And realpropertymgt.com can really help you with that. So definitely check it out. Stacy, this has been really fun. I enjoy kind of connecting with different folks around the industry, especially property managers that understand the lay of the land and can offer some really good nuggets. So thank you very much for that. One more time, the website, and of course, maybe a gold nugget or two that you've learned being in the space that you love so much.
Okay, website again, realpropertymgt.com. The nuggets are basically just what you just said. Make sure you're working with a team. Don't go in as an investor and think that you have to do everything on your own. There are a lot of us out there that have the experience to take that hassle and that stress away from you and really truly help you grow nationwide if you want to. But Abhi, thank you for having me on. It was really fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Stacy. I appreciate it. Again, Think Realty Nation, you want to go to realpropertymgt.com. Just like management, M as in mother, G, George, T, Tom.com. Stacy, thanks again. I certainly appreciate the time. Think Realty Nation, this next segment is brought to you by Narada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Check them out. Visit www.turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. So the 2020 census could expand opportunity zones that are chosen for tax breaks. A very interesting OZ conversation that my mastermind groups have been having over the last year and a half. And, quote, investors across the country have been asking state officials to expand the areas designated for the 2017 tax laws opportunity zone tax breaks. And it's kind of interesting. It's starting to happen a little bit. A handful of states said that they would consider such expansion if the Treasury decides to allow it. And, quote, extending the tax incentives to additional land that opportunity zone tracked gains as a result of the Census Bureau revisions would, quote, further the goals of the Opportunity Zone legislation, and that is from a spokesperson at the Treasury. So it's kind of interesting for me. I have a business that recently moved to an Opportunity Zone, and I think this is great. I mean, this is going to be really, really, really on fire for real estate investors across the country. So if you're really taking a look at maximizing those dollars, this is a really good way to do it. If you go to news.bloombergtax.com, you can also take a look at this graph right here, or this chart, and it kind of helps to visualize where the opportunities are right now as an opportunity zone investor, if you want to take a look at some of these things. And here's how the census tract could be nominated. If one, it had a poverty rate of at least 20%, so that's kind of bucket number one. Bucket number two is, let's see, this is blurry for me. I don't know why. Okay, if it's designated a low-income opportunity zone, if median family income is less than or equal to 125% of the contiguous tract, and number two, if these constitute less than 5% of all designated tracts in the state. And there are a couple of other blocks and things that this would fall into, but check it out. This is from Bloomberg Tax and Accounting. It would be interesting to see if they can expand this definition. And boy, oh boy, real estate investors, put your seatbelt on. I think this would be a really good thing for you. So that being said, you want to get in touch, go to thinkrealty.com. This podcast would not be possible without the help of our sponsors, Real Property Management, which is the largest residential property management franchise in North America, managing tens of thousands of properties for individuals, investors, and institutions throughout the country. Learn more by visiting www.realpropertymgt.com. Thank you, Realty Nation. That's a wrap. Got any questions? You can follow me anywhere online on social. I love LinkedIn and Instagram lately. That's kind of been my thing. I don't know. If there's any other social media platform that you suggest that I'm on, you can email me. Super easy. You can find me anywhere online again. But thinkrealty.com is where I live. And Think Realty Nation. Until next time, happy investing.